Welcome to the Dragon's Den. I'm Josh Davis, the marketing specialist here, and with me today is Emily Byard.
Hi there.
So today what we're going to do is we're going to touch on Pokemon, the card game. Kind of go over it. Yeah, go over it. Just talk a little bit about it and hopefully get you guys interested. So, Emily.
Hi.
Pokemon.
I know.
What an amazing card game.
It is. It's something that, it's a nostalgia thing. And for me, a lot of what got me into Pokemon was just not being able to play it for such a long time. My parents were not happy with me. But seeing all the anime episodes and just watching all these incredible creatures that I just wasn't supposed to be watching, it just drove me to just start watching it.
So Pokemon, it started back, in the 90s?
It was very late 90s.
Yeah, late 90s. So produced originally by Wizards of the Coast, a product of Game Freak. So since then there's been animes, there's merch, there's toys, there's all kinds of stuff. Mobile games, Pokemon Go is huge.
Absolutely.
I play Pokemon Go. So out of all these things, what drives you to play the card game over all these other things?
Well, first of all, it's the cheapest thing for me to play. I know everybody plays Pokemon Go, and it is free to play, but you get to a point where it's difficult to do stuff. And for me, I couldn't just drop $40 on one of the new video games, and for a while I didn't even have a 3DS. So all I had was these little pieces of cardboard that I bought off a Walmart shelf one day. And for me, it was one way to connect to a game that I had wanted to be a part of for so long without dropping more money than I really needed to. My first set of stuff was a tin of $20, and it was the coolest thing in the world because I wasn't supposed to have it. In fact, I brought it right under my dad's nose, and he didn't even know that I had it. I came home and I was looking through stuff. He's just like, "Where'd you get that?"
Oh goodness.
But the thing that draws me into it the most is it's not an expensive game to get into. And you hear a lot of stories about how games are super expensive and cards can run you up $300 if they're super good. In Pokemon, cards ranging from anything from $30 to $50 is pretty rare. So if you're really into cheap games and having some good, harmless fun, it's really, really good, easy game to get into.
Sure, yeah. I mean, myself, I spent maybe $40 total on a deck that I took to a tournament recently and went 2-2. There's a few things that I need to change in the deck, but it's super cheap. I play Magic, and Magic decks are $300 a piece.
Magic's expensive
for standard, and then you're looking at modern, they're $1,000 a piece. The good decks anyway, and it's Pokemon. Surprisingly very cheap to play. One of the things that really drew me in too was the I guess simplicity of the game.
It is pretty simple. I guess I could use the example of Magic again. It is very there are all these different types of cards that all do different things and they call different things. And I know in Yu-Gi-Oh you call a whole bunch of stuff, but all within a single archetype and all these different things. With Pokemon, there are very specific sets of things, and the only difference between them typically ends up being their typing or their stage. So in that way, it is also very simple to play and very easy to learn. I've taught many people how to play on a deck that I have taught so many people. They'll just come to me, they're just you know how to play, teach me how to play. So I run through a deck that has all the bases covered, and they're like, wow, I could play this without help now. So I have taught people in 2 or 3 games how to play Pokemon without my help.
Wow.
So it's very easy to learn.
Yeah, I know. I learned on the online game, which is free to play. It right from the beginning through the tutorial, it really teaches you how to play quite well.
And it gives you a good deck too to run with. So
absolutely.
You get stuff just from signing on. You don't even have to have Pokemon cards to get going.
Right. Yeah, and with the online, you can't even spend money to get cards.
Yeah.
You can only spend money to enter into tournaments.
And
so
hardly even that either.
Yeah. So it's super easy in that aspect. So some of these viewers may be Pokemon Go players, or they're
Yeah.
Pokemon video game players, and maybe they're interested in playing the card game. What if they have a favorite Pokemon and they want to play it in the card game? Can they?
Pretty much every Pokemon has its own card. There are some that don't have a whole lot of cards, and there are some that have so many cards. Like, that's like Charizard. If you like Charizard, and a lot of people really like Charizard, there is a card for Charizard in like every other set. It's ridiculous. You will not be sad if you are a Charizard fan and you want to play some Charizard. All kinds of Pokemon are super good, just depends on how you play them. So a card that's perceived as not so good and maybe one deck can be super good in another. So just because your favorite Pokemon doesn't have a super good card to every deck doesn't mean it can't be well played. Some of my favorite Pokemon don't get to see a lot of play, but I love to play them just because they're fun to use. So you don't even have to be super good. For me, it's just fun to play. And you get to a point where, it's not about being the best, it's just having fun. And
Sure.
That's one of the best things about Pokemon to me, is it's just fun to play regardless.
Right. Yeah, that is one of the things I noticed is, yes, there is a meta for like the best decks, but with that, you can pretty much play any deck you want and still do fairly well. Like, just having fun is absolutely something that I enjoy about Pokemon. Emily, so if you had to say one thing about Pokemon that would bring everybody in, what would that one thing be?
There's just a charm about playing Pokemon, and there's nostalgia. It's been around for so long, and even if you're not a fan of it, you know what it is. Mm-hmm. Like, you know that the Kanto starters, everybody knows the Kanto starters.
Absolutely.
And, for me, just knowing all of the lore that I know, they're just so charming, and it's not scary, and it's not supposed to be spooky, or right. It's supposed to be lighthearted and fun, and it's all about making bonds with the Pokemon that you're playing with. And in some ways, playing the card game is like being in an actual battle. Like, if you're playing the video games, you have your team of Pokemon, and you have the tools that you give them to be successful. Well, you do the same thing in the card game. You have the Pokemon that are working together with the same abilities and trying to prepare themselves for success, and you're giving them the tools to do that. And while they're not pixels on a screen, they're still right there. And for me, it's fun to see that, and I have enough of imagination to imagine what it would be like if they were just sitting on the cards just fighting. And it's, I don't know, for that, I just, charming nostalgia.
Sure.
Definitely worth the time, and it's super cheap, so not hard to get into. So, if I had to say anything.
Yeah. So we play here at the Den every Sunday. So if you want to learn how to play, come in. If Emily's here, she'll teach me how to pokey. Teach me how to pokey. Right? So come down, learn how to play some Pokemon. It's, like I said, it's super easy to learn. And we hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.